Well, let's try that again, shall we? Take three of the live stream Q&A. I've just inadvertently ended the live stream there. So there we go. Never mind. We're back up now. Hopefully, people can find their way across to this. If anyone was watching on the other stream, that is, I think, the first time that I've done that. I don't know quite how that happened, but anyway, never mind. Let's just crack on with it. I'll go straight to the first question while people find their way back over to this. The first question that I had was all about lighting, actually, and somebody was asking specifically about 3-point lighting. It's something that people talk about a lot, but not necessarily explaining what it is. And when you're talking about using different lights and different types of lights for this process, what exactly is 3-point lighting? So I thought I'd start with a quick demo of exactly what that is and a quick explanation. So let's go straight over to that. So with 3-point lighting, the idea is that you have got some sort of subject. And by the way, this is not to do with live streaming specifically. It is a general sort of lighting technique that people use in photography and film and TV and everything. So you've got your subject, which in my case is me sitting at the desk, looking a little bit slimmer from the top-down view than I actually am, but never mind. So you've got the subject there, and the idea is that you've got your camera at the front, and then if we think about the field of view, which will come into play a little bit later, the field of view is what your camera is seeing. Then you've potentially got some practical light, so that's what we call the lighting that you have that's just adding some sort of effects to maybe the background or the scene or whatever. So obviously I've got certain lighting going on there. This is all coming from these two lights at the back. That's what's giving that sort of wash up onto the back. And then there's some other LED strips around those acoustic panels at the back, and a few other things going on there just for decorative or aesthetic purposes. So those are the practical lights. But then in terms of the actual 3-point lighting, you have three specific lights. One is called the key light. This is the large, well, I say large, in my case, it is this. Let me go to this camera over here. It is this light here, which is a Nanlite Forza 60. So it's a 60-watt light, although I have to say it's on half power, because if you toggle a little switch to make it half power, it's going to not have the fan running. So it's completely silent. So effectively, that is a 30-watt light in the back of that. And I'll show you what it looks like inside in a moment. But this has got what we call a softbox on it. And this is effectively sort of 3 foot. So that is, to give you a bit of size, that is how big that is. So that is my key light, and the purpose of that is to provide the sort of primary light source that you've got on the subject. The next, and I'll explain these in more detail in a moment. The next one is the fill light, and the purpose of the fill light is to fill in the shadows that are created when you've just got obviously a single point of light on one side. So if I just come in and switch off my one of my lights, I'll come over here and where's my Nanlink app gone? It is somewhere. Where is it? Oh, it's behind these things. There we go. So if I was to turn off my fill light and key light, then you can see I've got a lot of light coming from my monitors at the moment. But if we click on this, then that is the key light is coming from this side. That's the primary light source. But you can see there's lots of shadow going on this side of my face. So then the fill light is to fill in some of those shadows. Now, depending on the sort of balance that you have between those is going to dictate the sort of effect that you have. So if you look at newsreaders, for example, they're pretty evenly lit from all sides. So if I was to go to my fill light and just adjust the brightness of that, you're going to get something that's more like that, sort of more even lighting from all sides, really. However, if you wanted something a little bit more dramatic, then you're going to have some sort of balance between those. And so there's a sort of line between there as to that ratio of the fill to the key light. So coming back to our little diagram then, that is the purpose of the fill light, as I say, to fill in those shadows. There is then normally another light, which is the third one of the 3 lights, which is actually often called the hair light. I call it the backlight for obvious reasons. And the purpose of this is just to give some separation between you and the background. Now, actually, this is the one that I've actually not got on at the moment. And the reason is I've actually taken it down so that I can show it to you in a moment, as in talk about the lighting itself. But this is the backlight. It's intended to give a little bit more separation between you and the background. Obviously, I'm wearing a black top and there's a colored background there. So there's a very clear delineation there in any case, but that's what the backlight is for, just to give that sort of separation. So if we come back to our little diagram, when you've got these, if you imagine these as just being point light sources, what you're going to get is obviously they're emitting light all over the place. So it's all coming out in all directions and spilling onto the back wall and to everywhere else. And so what we often want to do with lighting is control it in some way. And that is actually the biggest part of lighting, is understanding how you can control the light and where it goes. Obviously, we've got control of the positioning of them. We've got control of the brightness of them. As you can see, I'm using Nanlites, and so I was using the Nanlink app, which is actually a mobile app, but I'm running it on the desktop to be able to adjust the brightness and so on. But lighting's all about lighting control, really. And so we have various different types of lighting modifiers. The first one that you probably have seen in the past are these things, which are called barn doors. So often you'll see in sort of theatre stage lighting, they're going to have something that looks like this. And the point about this is that you're basically just able to control like where the light is going, so it's not sort of spilling out onto the side if you don't want the lighting to hit that part. And it's all about sort of controlling the light. So that's, if you've heard somebody talk about barn doors, that is what those are. They're these things that basically can control the direction of the light. You also have other kinds of lighting control, such as flags. So a flag is basically just something like one of these that you can put to prevent the light from hitting certain places where you don't want the light to be going. So that is the first type of lighting modifier. The other type of lighting modifier then would be a lantern, and the purpose of the lantern is actually to give you a little bit more diffused light as well as controlling it. So if we take a look at this light fitting here, as I say, this is the one that I was using as my key light. This is a common type of light that you'll find these days, which is a cob light. That stands for circuit on board, which is the actual light in the front there. The light element, if you like, is in the front. And it is obviously quite a small point light source. If I turn it on, what you're going to get is really quite a sort of harsh light, because it's a really powerful for its size, but it's also really focused. So it's not going to give you the greatest of sort of looks. If I just turn off my regular lights here and we just hold this one up, it's, you know, quite a harsh looking light. And what we want to do is, the reason why you have these large soft boxes is to give a little bit more diffusion to it, so that rather than having a sort of point light here, you've got more of a larger area that the light is coming from. And so it more accurately simulates natural light effectively. And so the first type of lighting modifier then after the barn doors, or the next type, would be something like this, which is a lantern. And so these would just sort of fit onto the front of the light. So if I just attach this one onto here, of course, quite awkward. I did specifically take down my key light because the modifiers are small. This is, by the way, a Ulanzi 40-watt light. This is a 30 centimeter or 1 foot light attachment on the front of it, so it's a little bit more manageable, but still quite big on my desk. But now if I switch this light on, you can see that you're already getting a lot more of a softer light source. If I turn off my key light and fill light again, that's already looking a lot more sort of natural in terms of the lighting. It's not that harsh light. Obviously, it's diffused, so it means you've reduced the power of it by definition as well in many respects, but it's also giving some control, because the light isn't coming out of the back as much. But now I can turn that one up, and now we're getting a much sort of softer light. And just once again then, the light that I'm using for my main key light is 90 centimeters, 3 foot. So this is a foot, so a third of the diameter of that light, but it's going to give you a much more softer look to it. But the light will still spill out into other directions. So if we come back over here and we were to add on something like that, then it's going to give you this softer light, which is not going to softer light, which is not going to spill out as much and be a softer look on your face, but it still is emanating all the way around. Now, if you've want to have sort of lighting that isn't as dark as mine, so you can see that my studio, obviously, it's quite dark in the background. I've got bright lights in front of me, but in the background it's kind of a dark look. If I was using this sort of softbox on my primary lights, what you'd find is the whole of the back would be lighter. So if you want to go for a more lighter, natural, like open lighting look, then something like this would do a good job of illuminating the background as well. But in my case, what I actually want to do is I want to block out the light from actually hitting the back wall, because I want to have those vibrant colors on the back. And so what we can use then is another type of diffuser, which is a softbox that is more directional. So that would be something like this, which is a parabolic softbox, and the light fits into the front in just the same way as, into the back in just the same way as before, like that. So now we've got the light on the front, but it's now directing the light purely out of the front. So if I turn this on, you can see that you're not seeing any light sort of spilling out from the side of it, and all of the light is coming out of the front of it. And what that means is it's a lot more directional, so you've got a lot more control over where the light is going. So if we just go back to our little diagram again, if you've got those on the on all of those lights, you can sort of more accurately angle the light. But the other thing that we can add onto it is this thing here, which is a grid. And this is just a sort of mesh. It just fits into the front of the light with actually with Velcro. And what that does is, if you imagine if this wasn't in here, then the light would be able to sort of emanate in all directions. But as you put this one in, then it's basically just giving you a little bit more directional control. So if you look at this on the side like this, you can see that you're not seeing any direct light coming from this. And as soon as I turn it so that you can see sort of through the grid, then you are seeing it. If I took this out though, you would see that you're going to see the light from this, at a lot wider angle. So the purpose of the grid then is just to give you even more directional control over the light itself. So going from sort of no grid to having the grid, it's just going to narrow that the angle that the light is sort of emanating from. And what that means is you have then got a lot finer control over exactly where that light is going. So in my case, my key light here has got a grid on it, as you can see. And so the light of that is just coming directly at me. And so if we go back to our diagram again, then you can see that also it's crucially hitting just me, and it's not hitting that back wall within the field of view of the camera. Then I've got the same with my fill light. So that's also pointing at me, again, directed so that it's missing the physical light, the practical light area at the back. And then we've got the same on the backlight normally. So actually, this is what I have as my my backlight. Normally, it's this one. So we've got the light, the parabolic softbox, and then also the grid. And this is normally just sort of out of view over my back, and that's what I use as my backlight. So that's the basic principle of 3-point lighting. Now, exactly how many of those you use, some people actually only use a couple. Some people use one over the top as well. There's lots of different variations of this and ways to add more different styles of lighting effects and so on. But that just explains like the basic principle of 3-point lighting. As I say, I'm using a Nanlite Forza 60 is my light, and this has got a 90 centimeter 3-foot softbox. I've got exactly the same light over here, although this has got a smaller softbox. So if you look sort of from back here, you can see the sort of relative size of them. This one is large enough for me to have here, but this one, because that is where my monitor is, I actually got a smaller one for that because it is the fill light rather than the key light in any case. But there just wasn't really enough room for the 90 centimeter up there. As I say, the reason for going large is that it's going to give you a much more softer lighting effect. So it's going to be a more flattering, and I need all the help that I can get in that department. So that's the reason for those large softboxes. So if we just go back over here, that is the purpose of 3-point lighting. Now, I was using previously a flat panel light over the back, which was also a Nanlite, but this is just a Ulanzi light that I picked up for testing, and it's just got a bigger surface area. So I did swap out the flat panel light for this one. Obviously, these softboxes, you can see the front of them. I'm talking about sort of 90 centimeters or 3 foot in terms of how big the front of them are. But one thing to note is they do go back quite far. They're quite deep even if you just look at this one, it's 30 centimeters across or 90 a foot across at the front. But if you look at it side on, then it's, you know, equally deep going back. And then you've got the light fitting on the back of that as well. If I just show you the these ones, whoops, try and get that connected again. Having all sorts of tech issues today. My camera's just decided to disconnect. Resume. There we go. Let's get that back. It's one of those days. One of those tech failure days today. So here we've got the softbox, and it is actually mounted up onto the wall. So I've just got a bracket attached there, but it's really quite a huge softbox that is to get sort of past and mount into your studio. So there are flat panel lights that you can get from people like Elgato, which are LED lights that you can have sort of attached to the side of your desk and then sort of illuminating you that way. You've got the same thing to think about there. What you want to think about is just the actual size of the panel. So whenever you've got a small point light, the smaller the light is, the harsher it's going to be. So if we go to a real extreme with this and get a mini light like this, then this is however many watts it is, a tiny little chain light. But obviously a really small point light is going to look really sort of harsh, harsh light, although that's actually just quite bright. But the harshness of the light, even for relatively the same power, is going to be the thing to note there. So let's see. Just noticing the questions. Great, Roderick, hanging out in the Zoom chat. Great to see you. I will see you next time. And this is Bowls promo. Tombuk on your monitor. Were you in the running? Tombuk, was Tombuk? Oh, maybe you mean on the YouTube thing. No, I wasn't in the. So I guess this is a reference to the amazing Tom Buck. It could have been no one else. Tom won the Rode Creator of the Year this year in the Rode Awards, and it couldn't have gone to any better person. I certainly voted for him, so he's just my all-time hero. I've got to say, he's just amazing. So yeah, it couldn't have gone to a nicer guy or a more deserving guy for all the time and effort and attention that he puts into all of his videos. I'm guessing this is Dan. Actually, are you on your other YouTube account? But back to the. I just wanted to say bye to Roderick in case I missed him before he dropped out. But yeah, in terms of the flat panel style of lighting, they are obviously a lot more space efficient because you haven't got the same sort of depth to work with. So especially if you're in a tight space, they can be a really good solution. Just be conscious of, as I say, the size of it. That's the thing to look at there. The smaller it is, the less flattering technically the light is going to be. I mentioned Elgato. I would say though, have a look at other options because Elgato are quite costly for their flat panel lights compared to other manufacturers, I think, and for not really much more other than the fact that they directly integrate with Stream Deck. But an example would be this one. So this is the 20-watt key light from Ulanzi. I actually bought this for a purpose, and I have not actually done my test or even used it for my purpose that I bought it for. But this was something that I bought with my own money. And part of the reason I did that was, first of all, I do love Ulanzi products, and yeah, this is this one. So it's it's basically, what dimensions is that? It's kind of like, I would guess, a foot by half a foot, 15 centimeters by 30, something like that. So it's still quite a large panel. It's obviously nothing like, some of these others that I've got around me, but for the cost of it compared to the Elgato, it was considerably cheaper. And I think that the LED panels, there's not much between them in terms of the the quality of light they are producing. So there we go. I see. So I just noticed. So I just thought that this Bowls Promo TV. Hello, welcome. Obviously, someone new that I'm not familiar with, and I thought it was Dan, also a Bowls guy. So obviously, it's not Dan, but we got the Bowls the bowls gang in today. Let's see if we can just get this powered on, because it is quite a good light, this one. Having said that, I've not actually using it yet, but what I like about it is the fact that it comes with all the hardware, and if you have used Ulanzi products, you'll know that their hardware is always really solid. So like, this is a really hefty clamp to clamp to your desk. Then it comes with the attachment to go on that, which is for mounting the light, and then this is a telescoping light for you to telescoping attachment for you to mount your light on. And it goes pretty tall, so it's like sort of 3 foot. So for desk mounting, which is where you would use this, you're going to clamp it onto your desk, and there's plenty of height to get it up at a good height. By the way, talking of height, positioning-wise, the key light and fill light, they are basically at sort of 45-degree angle off from the center, and then you want to have them slightly elevated as well. And part of the reason for that is that when you are looking into the camera, another reason, by the way, for a large key light is this sort of little dot that it puts in your eyes. They call it adding the twinkle or the sparkle into your eyes. And so having it at that elevated level is just going to help it hit in the right spot. But also, if you're wearing glasses, you want to make sure that these are slightly elevated, so that basically the reflection of the light is not sort of in line with the camera. So if I was wearing glasses now and this light was at sort of more or less eye level, then you're going to end up with it sort of reflecting straight back into the camera. So that's another reason to have it slightly elevated. But this, as I say, comes with some really solid hardware. It does come with a remote as well, and the remote is magnetic. It comes with a little self-adhesive metal panel. If you want to stick it anywhere, you can just stick that on. I've got a metal front to my desk, so I can just clip it on there. But yeah, having the remote is a nice touch, because, as I say, one of the advantages of the Elgato flat panel lights is the fact that you can control them with Stream Deck. Well, with this, you can control it with a remote, so it's not that much difference. I'm not sure it's worth the premium for Elgato lights just to be able to press a button to turn them on and off on the Stream Deck, but that is still, I guess, a nice touch. With these ones, this one, it is a warm light and daylight, so you can adjust the sort of color temperature. I can't actually just remember offhand the temperature range of this, but it says, yeah, it's a nice little panel light. And if I just see if I can just grab a USB-C from somewhere, then it is powered by USB-C. And so then if I just turn this on, so there you can see that is, pressed it on and off again. So that is the sort of warm light. You can see the temperature of that, but then you can adjust the temperature and everything from here as well. So we can change the brightness and the temperature. This is 5 volts and it is 20 watt effectively, the light from it. But it's really lightweight. So something like this, if you're looking for a solution for your studio that is not going to take up quite as much space, then something like this. And the larger the panel you can get, the better. It's exactly the same reason why I've got the large softbox. The larger the light you can get, the better for the sort of quality of light that you're going to get. I will just find the link to this. So this is, if I go to Amazon, it is the Ulanzi K20. They do a range of other lights. They've got another one that I'm going to buy just purely for interest, which is an inflatable light. So I'll show you that one in a moment. It's a really good little idea for being able to get that extra size, because obviously the problem with these big soft boxes is you have to carry them around, and they've got some sort of structure to them, so they're not entirely small even when they're collapsed. Well, what they've done is they've created these inflatable lights that do a great job. So let's just see if I can find these. They've got a sale on at Ulanzi, by the way. Let me just drop the Ulanzi link into the chat as well. Let me just grab this. This is, if you go direct to their website, they deliver everywhere, and they've got some good special offers on at the moment. So 20% off lots of things. But let me just see if I can find the lights specifically that I've got here. Continuous lighting. And it would have been a flat panel somewhere. Let's have a look. it's not in there. We will find it somewhere. Let's have a look. Go to all lighting. That's a nice little stand, by the way. I've got one of those for my my mobile phone, which works really well. I'm not seeing there. Oh, these are the inflatable ones, though. So if you go to ulanzi.com, you'll be able to find these. But these are really interesting. That they are LED lights, but they are inflatable. So you can see that they basically roll up. But then they've got an inbuilt pump, so it's because it's got a battery in, obviously, for the light. So they've got an inbuilt pump, so you just unroll them, press the button, they inflate, and then you're good to go. So just a really good way to get that large surface area, but from a really compact light for traveling. Or going in different studio spaces and whatever. There's that one which is, I think, like 2 foot by 1 foot, and then there's this one which I'm not sure the exact size. That looks to be about 3 foot, maybe something like that. So yeah, nice little idea. Anyway, I've left a link to the Ulanzi site, but check out all of their stuff. I'm beginning to forgive them for coming out with their own Stream Deck, the Ulanzi Stream Deck. That was something that I thought was a bit of a shady move, but I'm probably going to stop going on about that because it's time to move on. I've got a load of their tripods as well. They do make really solid hardware, so I can always recommend Ulanzi for that sort of stuff. By the way, Ulanzi don't sponsor me and have never sent me any stuff for review. I just always buy all of their stuff, it seems. So I'm genuinely recommending something that I'm buying with my own money when I recommend them. Dan here, can you do a quick step-by-step on connecting your MacBook Pro into your system? So my system is my MacBook Pro, so that's what this is running off. It's the MacBook Pro is down there, and that's what everything's running off. So that's an additional monitor. If you were using your old MacBook Pro, oh, I know it's not that old, but if you're using your old MacBook Pro with another computer like your Mac Mini or Mac Studio or whatever, then the way to do it would be to take the HDMI out from your computer on the side, and then take that into a cam link, and then take that into your primary computer, so that it would effectively show up as a camera. But that's the way that I used to do it when I did used to use a laptop as a second computer source with my Mac Mini. And so then what I was doing was I did actually often use it in the same position as this because I had effectively one less monitor because the Mac Mini was running the setup. So what I would do in that case, let's just assume that I was running this off a Mac Studio or a Mac Mini or something. Then I would put my laptop that I want to connect down here, and then take the HDMI out into a cam link, and then into the Mac Mini or the Mac Studio. And then the benefit of doing that potentially is to offload some of the processing power for things like presentations, and so you could run the presentation from your secondary Mac, potentially have your speaker notes on the main screen, and then the actual output of the presentation could be then going out over the HDMI through the cam link, and then into Ecamm on the computer. I'm saying this obviously because I know Dan's using Ecamm. that's I think the use case here. If you wanted to use it as an extended display rather than using it for just running a presentation, I'm just thinking what the best way to do that would be. If you wanted to use it as actually an extension to, as an extension to your existing computer, there are ways to. Oh, and by the way, the method that I said there about taking an HDMI out and through a cam link, the reason I did that is you can technically just share the screen of the secondary computer into the first computer, but then you end up with having to have the screen share window of that secondary computer on the primary computer in any case, which to me seemed to defeat the purpose. The other way you could do it was with NDI. So there is a program called NDI Scan Converter, and that enables you to have your screen from your secondary computer broadcast over the network as an NDI. So that's a network video feed, basically. And so then that can be picked up as well. So it could be that you have your secondary computer and you just want to use it for screen sharing or something like that. And then you can have the you can have the feed from that screen be broadcast effectively and then picked up by your primary computer, and you could bring it in that way. So that would be another way to do things. And depending on the model of laptop you've got, you can use the continuity. What's it called? It's not continuity. It's something else. Where basically your mouse and keyboard, you know, if you move your mouse over to where your secondary computer is, it will just jump across. So you're basically sharing your mouse and keyboard. That's just built into the Mac now. So it is possible to have it where you're using the secondary Mac as some sort of screen sharing aid or something like that, and you can see it in front of you, and it's able to show up in Ecamm just as a screen sharing feed, and then you can still, you know, move your mouse over onto it, literally just drag it across in the same way that you know, I'm dragging my mouse across onto here right now. Well, that would literally work anyway, even if this was a second computer, because of that feature of Mac that allows you to do that. So that's a couple of ways that you could use your Mac with your second Mac with the primary Mac. Have you used the Stream Deck Plus to control the Rodecaster Pro 2? I haven't used the Stream Deck Plus with the Rodecaster Pro 2 specifically, but there is, and I do mean to make a video because you can control things with MIDI. So you can control the Stream Deck Plus with MIDI, which means that, sorry, I feel like my head's all over the place today. You can control the Rodecaster Pro 2 or Rodecaster Duo with MIDI. So if you've got a MIDI controller, you can use that. And there is a MIDI plugin for the Stream Deck, which allows you to do that. So technically, you can do it that way. And it's something that I did look at setting up with the main Stream Deck, but I just never actually pursued it as a thing because my Rodecaster is you know, literally just here. So I'd never bothered to try to sort of tie up the Rodecaster with I never bothered to tie up Stream Deck controls with Rodecaster controls because my Rodecaster is literally just there. Thanks, Rich. Universal control is the word that I was struggling to find there. Universal control is the one. But just coming back to this question, though, let me find Neil Faramon's video for you, because Neil has a step-by-step guide as a PDF that you can download. Let me just get this up for you a second. Neil's a great guy. Let's have a look. It would be, what we're looking for, Rodecaster. This is the video that you want here from Neil Faramond. Control your Rodecaster with your Stream Deck, game changer. So and in that, let me just grab the link and pause it so that it doesn't play over. I'll drop this link into the chat, and definitely go and follow and subscribe and all that to Neil's channel. But in here, you will find that he's got a download as well. Let's see. So let's copy this link. I'll just double check that the link is still working. Whoops. Try that again. Here we go. So he created a step-by-step guide, which is, whoops, this. Grab that again. I'll drop this in. So this is the, if you go to his Buy Me a Coffee, it is this control the Rodecaster with the Stream Deck MIDI guide. So that was specifically about the regular Stream Deck, but actually with the dials, for example, you could use the same sort of process because the dials are incremental adjustments. So let's have a look. Whoops, I'm in my wrong scene. So you're trying to do a multi-action to start my ATEM Extreme and Rodecaster Pro 2 when I hit the record for Ecamm Live. That's exactly what this the guide. I'd definitely recommend just going and grabbing his guide, because that is exactly one of the use cases I believe that he talks about in the video. So yeah, that's entirely the use case. So me having said, oh, I don't need it because I've got the buttons to hand. Yeah, the point is, if you want to do things simultaneously, like start your recording in Ecamm, start in Rode in the audio recording on device, and as you say in ATEM, this would exactly solve that problem. So Neil's video would have the answer for you there. It's something I've meant to do a video about myself, but as you know, or maybe don't, I have not done too many recorded videos this year, but that's set to change in the new year. I've completed most of my course content that I've been working on for 2 years, so now we're getting back to the regular things. Is there a KVM switch that has USB and HDMI to connect 2 monitors to a Mac Mini and a Windows PC? I currently connect them with duplicate cables, but I have to shut down one computer. Is there a KVM switch that has USB and HDMI? I'm sure that must be. So KVM is keyboard, video, keyboard, video, and mouse, is it? So that's what a KVM switch is technically. And let's just go and have a look. I'm sure there must be. KVM HDMI. I'm sorry if this seems like let me Google that for you, but I'm sure there must be something. So let's see. So something like this. KVM switch is HDMI, 2 computers, 2 monitors. Oh, I think I've just realized. The question. So keyboard, video, and oh no, that should do it. That should do it, I think. USB. So it has got the USB connections. I'm obviously this is the first time that I'm seeing this product, so I don't know if this one is any good in particular, but I'm just seeing in principle. Switch 1 monitor, 2 computers. Well, this one I would recommend. If this is Ugreen, I love their stuff. I have got a Ugreen splitters. I talked about Ulanzi. So anything that's like hardware, like attachments and physical things in the studio is generally Ulanzi. So like quick release clamps and things like that. So like these sorts of things, anything that I'm using in hardware in the studio, like these are little pop out clamps for cameras that allow me to, like quick release plates, I should say, for cameras. So Ulanzi is great for all of that sort of stuff. But all of my cabling and power supplies, I should say, are Ugreen. So I know Ugreen make really solid stuff. So this is saying Ugreen HDMI switch 1 monitor, 2 computers with 4 USB ports as well. So that does look like it's doing that. You're basically connecting 2 computers. So PC 1 input and PC 2, or computer 1 and 2. So that's got USB for data and the USB sockets and HDMI for video. So I don't know if that might be the thing. Let's have a little look if I get the link from that. And then I'll just copy that. I don't know if this is going to answer the question, but I will drop it in just in case until we go a little bit further. So let's just see where, because I see you dropped another thing in. First of all, hey, David, great to see you here. Thanks for stopping by. And yeah, that thing about having the multi-action to simultaneously start the Rodecaster and everything, I totally feel you. I did actually do that on one of my podcasts. I forgot to. I was doing everything, and I always have a backup of the audio on the Rodecaster for the interview podcast. And the one time that I failed to do that, something once in a lifetime occurrence happened that it also screwed up on my desktop recording as well. So I was kind of screwed there. So yeah, maybe I should have been using the MIDI controller earlier. So let me just see though. Mac Mini has only 1 HDMI port. So let me think about what it is you're trying to do here, because the Mac Mini does have 1 HDMI port, but if you've got any sort of USB-C to or USB to HDMI dongle, basically, that's what I use on mine. Technically, my laptop here has got 1 HDMI out. So I've got the screen here, I've got an HDMI out here, but I've also got a USB-C to HDMI, which is coming off this one. So that's giving me a second monitor. So this is obviously my laptop monitor. This one is plugged into the HDMI. This one is plugged into a USB dongle that is then going into the computer. But then I've got another further 2 monitors that are being run through a dock that allows me to run additional monitors as well. So just trying to understand the question here. The Mac Mini does only have one HDMI port, but you can extend that with just a dongle that's basically USB-C to HDMI. And that could be something as simple as one of these. If you did just literally want an additional monitor. So if you wanted to just get one additional monitor, because there is a link, you could even get an actual dedicated cable like that, which would be something like this. That's USB-C to HDMI. I'm not sure which of these. I mean, I'll just give you a link to this one because Anchor's you're pretty solid with Anchor. So this is USB-C to HDMI as an output. Oops. I forgot to put the link in. There's the link. So that would be one solution. If you're just looking to get extra monitors. So then if you are wanting to do the switching part, then that one that we looked at, let's see how many that had on it. Because we were just looking at that the KVM switch. And that is a single monitor. So if you need to switch 2 monitors, maybe I've missed that in the question. Oh yeah, you literally said that and I just completely ignored it. So sorry, Michael. You want to connect 2 monitors to a Mac Mini and a Windows PC. So yeah, that one that I posted the link to obviously is missing one critical thing there. It's switch 1 monitor but 2 computers. So what we want is a dual monitor KVM switch, isn't it? So let's try that. So let's see. Yeah, there is this one. Let me get the link. Never heard of this brand, so just bear that in mind. But I'll just post the link to this. So this is a KVM switch for 2 monitors, 2 computers, USB 3, keyboard, mouse, printer, and so on. So what's that got? It's got PC1 in. So that's where you would plug in your 2 things. So just coming back to what you said about obviously the Mac Mini. In that case, what you would need to do is you would have the USB here. Let's say that PC1 is the Mac Mini. You would have the USB here connecting to where it says PC1 in. You would have that USB going into your Mac Mini, into a USB, so USB to USB. Then in HDMI 1, for example, or HDMI A as they call it here, that would just be an HDMI cable going straight from the KVM switch into the HDMI of the output from the Mac Mini. And then you would take a USB-C to HDMI converter like the one that I dropped in previously, and then run a HDMI cable from that into the input here. And then you'd just do the same with the PC, the actual physical PC 2, in this case, USB to USB, and then the 2 HDMIs, presumably the PC itself has got 2 HDMI outs, you just connect those directly. And then you would use this part here to connect out to your 2 monitors. And as you can see at the bottom, it's got the, these are USB ports for connecting whatever else you want to connect, like keyboard, mouse, or whatever it happens to be. And then there's a button on the front for switching. So that, on the face of it, would be the solution. It looks like there's a few other options here. So this is what USB 3 plus 4K HDMI, 8K, and 8K HDMI. So those are just higher specs on them. Oh, that one's DisplayPort. I see. So this one, instead of HDMI, you can see it's got DisplayPort, and then this one is HDMI, but it's saying that it's 8K rather than 4K. So yeah, that would potentially, on the face of it, solve the problem that you've got and give you what you're looking for. But we'll see. As I say, I've just literally searched for that, and that's the first one that's come up. So I've never heard of EvaTech. 4.5 stars out of 438. So seems to be reasonable. You can check that. No problem. Thanks for stopping by, Michael, and have a great day. I'll see you next time. Let's see if we've got what else. Yeah, it's the sort of thing that you I was going to say it's the sort of thing you only do once. That thing of you learn from your mistakes. The trouble I have is I'm continually coming up with new and creative ways to make mistakes. Like this stream, for example. I don't know how in all the time that I've been streaming, I've never gone live and then immediately ended the stream, but that's what I did today, and I don't know quite why, but my my record button is right next to my comments scene button, so the button to switch to this scene is right next to my record button, and it appears that I ended the stream by pressing that inadvertently at the beginning of this one. So yeah, I think I'll move that button. Hey George, great to see you. You can also use the oh, of course, yeah. So I was talking about a little dongle there, but absolutely right. Of course, if you're using something like the CalDigit TS3 or 4, docks often have that additional HDMI out as well. So yeah, of course. It's the way forward, isn't it? You've got 5 monitors on your MacBook Pro. Yeah, it's my solution to running out of screen space. It's just add more. So that's how you end up with with a forest of monitors in front of you. Let's see. Yes, the share button's right next to the leave button in Teams. Yeah, that's one of many reasons to not like Teams. I don't know quite how I've never done that before, actually, because what it is with my Stream Deck, this is my Stream Deck profile. So these are all of my different camera angles. These 4 here, so sort of front, right, and whatever. That's my top-down camera. This is my mobile phone camera, so that's technically what I'm on right now. So pressing that will take me back to my main one. This one will bring me back to this. These ones are all of my screen sharing for different screen areas. So my primary monitor here, I've just basically set it up with 6 different areas, and then I share a particular area of the screen. So that window there is in the sort of top left. So if I was to press this button here, it's going to take me to the screen share, which is sharing that particular part of the screen. Then we've got some other ones here that are different layouts, like with Zoom guests and things like that coming in. So multiple people. Video pencil, next slide and previous slide. So when I was doing my little presentation earlier on over here in Keynote, I'm basically controlling that by pressing these buttons here. So that's sort of next slide and whatever. Now, ordinarily, the way that I end my stream is I've got this button here, which is it takes me to my end screen, or sorry, the scene that I've got in Ecamm, which is my end screen with this sort of outro music. And then this is actually a multi-action. So it delays for 20 seconds and then it ends the stream. So it's basically ending it after 20 seconds. The reason being that when you are on YouTube and you see like the outro screen, where people can put up videos and click here to see the next video or whatever, that is something that you've got a 20 second window. So I've basically just configured my end button for my YouTube to give me those 20 seconds, and then it just automatically ends. But what I should probably do is something a little bit simple, is this button here, which is my record button. Whoops, move that alignment. I should just actually move that away from that scene. So let me just move that over there. This button, by the way, is a multi-action. Although my channel is called Take One Tech, it's often actually not the first take. It should probably be called One Take Tech. So I make all the videos in one take, but often I just screw up the intro. Obviously, this is a live stream, and I even managed to screw up this by ending it before we'd got into it. But generally, the recorded videos on my channel, I'm just hitting record, I'm recording it, and then I'm ending it. But what I often do is, as I say, the initial hook is the bit that I screw up. Once I'm actually into the video, there's no trouble. So what this button is here, in Ecamm Live, when you hit the end button, so if you hit the end recording, then what's going to pop up is a little window on screen that says, do you want to upload it to YouTube? Do you want to go to see it in the Finder or whatever? So there's that little end screen there. And actually, if you hit the record button again, it dismisses that panel. So basically all this is a little multi-action that ends the live stream. Then it's got a delay of 2 seconds to give it time to sort of process the video, pop up that little window on screen, and then it basically just presses the go live or record button again to dismiss that pop-up. So essentially what that means is when I've finished, or sorry, if I've screwed up my intro, then I can just press this button and it will basically just reset and get me ready to hit the record button again. So I have that on there. I actually have that on my pedal, to be honest, when I'm recording. I've got a record button, I've got that button, and a couple of others. So I tend to have it there, but it's also on this one. But yeah, I've now moved my record button. This one, by the way, is the one that I have to have my thumbnail up on the screen. So pressing this button here, and because I don't do a countdown for my live streams. Because, by the way, somebody just commented once on Twitter, why do streamers penalize people for being on time by having a long countdown? And I thought, yeah, that is kind of a thing. And then also you tend to get lower replay rates on live streams than recorded videos. I think because there's just a perception that if something is a live stream, it's not going to be as tight as as a recorded video. Now, in today's live stream, that is definitely the case. But given that there's no real difference between my live streams and recorded videos, because I just do them as live in any case, that's not the case for me. But I did want to just be able to go straight into my live stream without having to have any countdown. So we just get straight into it. However, there's always that moment when you press the record button or the go live button in Ecamm, and then you are sort of waiting for it to initiate and to send the stream out or whatever, which is kind of part of the reason why people have countdowns in any case. But I just wanted to get over that. And so my solution was that I just have an overlay, which is my thumbnail. So every week I add my thumbnail in there. And basically when I click go live, I actually am starting with my thumbnail on the screen. And then I just see as soon as the little wheel in Ecamm has stopped spinning to say, yeah, you're now live, then I take down the thumbnail and we're sort of back into it. And the reason for that is that if you imagine that somebody's scrolling on YouTube, they see the thumbnail and then they click on it, there's a sort of seamless transition into the thumbnails on the screen, and then it's technically for the first second or whatever of the stream, and then it drops out. So there's no real sort of interruption there, and you also don't see me going like, have we started yet? So that's the reason for that. But what I did was I just in Ecamm I created a folder. Whoops, pressed the wrong one now. Let me go into here. In Ecamm I just created a folder which says thumbnail. And so rather than having to set up a button every week with like the specific thumbnail, in Stream Deck, what this button does, whoops, if I stop streaming this now, what this does in Stream Deck is this is just an action which is showing and hiding an overlay, but it's actually showing and hiding the folder. So that means that whatever I have in that folder is what's activated by that button. So I don't need to update the button every week. I just simply go in and drop in the new thumbnail into that folder, and so the button still just works as it should. So let me just come back to some of these questions. Hey George, and ended up with 5 Stream Decks. It happens to us all, and I'm glad to have played a part in that process. Welcome. You're trying to control your volume with the Stream Deck Plus volume controller, and it doesn't seem to be working. Have you experienced anything similar? Actually, no, I haven't, to be honest. Let me... if you mean the volume of your system, so if I go over to my Stream Deck Plus, I've got these dials here. Let's go and just create a new one. If you mean the volume in of system, then you've got these dials. Well, everything's out of alignment. I must have screwed out my my window management. If you go to system and then multimedia, and then drop that one onto one of the dials, and then we've got action is volume. Is that adjusting my volume? Do you know what? Now that I say that, it appears, is my volume just muted? How's that happening? I've got, well, there you go. I've got something that's actually taking over my audio, so it's not actually adjusting the volume in any case. Nothing's adjusting my volume, not even my keys on there. But technically, that should be the one that's doing it. I can't even adjust my volume on here with the hotkeys on the keyboard. So I don't know if that is what you're talking about. If it's the overall system volume. Maybe if I switch to a different audio source, let me just change the sound output a minute. Let's just go to MacBook Pro speakers. Right, now I should be able to, yeah, now I can adjust my volume there, and I should be able to adjust it with this as well. Yeah, so now that I've changed my output to MacBook Pro speakers, then yes, this dial is adjusting my my volume level on the Mac. Let me just put that back to my other audio output though, just so that it doesn't screw things up. There we go. So the volume control down by control center. So let's have a look at that then. Control center. The volume controller here. If you mean the volume control down by control center, so there's this one here, which is volume controller, input device volume and output device volume. Let's see. So this one you can change to whatever you want. So if I go to output, so that's the secondary here. Not sure about that. I think, is this one maybe not for wavelength? No, it's not for wavelength because that's the wavelength. What is it that you're trying to control the volume of? Is it actually your speaker output? Because actually that volume there, the multimedia one, would do that. I'm just trying to have a look at the input device control here and the different volume adjustments. Just trying to think why would that yeah, where would that be adjusting that volume? I've got to. I would need to do a test actually to see where this is taking the audio from, because that is that the one you're talking about on the volume control down there, the volume controller. That should be controlling the output, but I see what you mean, because on mine it's not doing that. So let's try something different. If I go to the device and I'll go to have we got the regular speakers? Default device. Yeah, it's not adjusting the level there. I think I need to be playing something, because this looks like this can control individual volume to individual outputs. However, I have got my Rodecaster Pro 2 set as the output. So for my system, my system output is the Rodecaster Pro 2, and in that case, I don't have any control over my volume in any case on the Mac. I am controlling it entirely with that. Whereas if I change to like my MacBook speakers, then it does work. And in fact, that looks like the same now. So now that I've changed it to my MacBook speakers, you can see that this is actually adjusting it. So it's because the Rodecaster is basically taking it as what do they call it? Like a line in, effectively. So that appears to be why that is the case. If I change this to my monitor speaker, then I get something different there. So I'm not sure about that one. That's puzzled me, because I just don't use those, so I've never noticed before. But it kind of is sort of not doing what it's saying almost, because it looks like you can select, the different output that you're going to, and then you would expect, like if I change that to my HDMI output, let's see if that works. No. So I'm basically playing around with these and making these match what I've got on my system, but it's still not allowing me to adjust anything. And apart from if I set my speaker, that's stumped me, that one. It appears that it's not allowing me to do anything unless I've got my my speaker selected as the output, my MacBook speaker. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't have an answer. It's an odd one, that is. Certainly the multimedia one that I did on before, that one does work as well. Well, all of them work if I'm not using my Rodecaster effectively. So that was me just going through the process of discovering your issue and realizing I've effectively got the same one. Have you got the Rodecaster Pro 2 to work with virtual devices? Do you know, I've got to make a video about Rodecaster Pro 2 with virtual devices and the Rodecaster Video Control with Stream Deck. I haven't done either, and I honestly haven't dived into it much. So apart from just doing an initial setup with it, I've not done a full test or video or anything like that about it, and I'm not using virtual devices with the Rodecaster Pro 2 either. The past few months have just been really busy with finalizing a lot of course content and stuff like that. So I haven't done my usual deep dives into investigating new stuff. I've got a load of videos to make, and this is one of them. I will have a video about it soon though. But as of yet, no, I've not done anything with that. Hey Dan, great to see you. Of course, got to fly. See you next time. See you in the next office hours session. Thanks, by the way, for the message about the icons. You can find those icons available on my store. I should probably just do a quick plug for that. I always make icons for my Stream Deck because it's something that I think makes it more usable. I think if you're pulling in different different icons for this and for that here and there, and you've just got a random sort of mess of icons, what we have got with the Stream Deck is basically a blank canvas to create our own user interface. And I think that user interface is so important. You know, obviously companies spend millions on user interfaces, and so having a consistency across your Stream Decks in terms of the icon design and so on, I think is important. So the Ecamm Live icon pack you can see down here. This is actually a picture of it from before. I did actually update it since this picture was taken. So now they're more like sort of two-tone rather than just all yellow and blue or whatever. So, but it's the updated version that is in there. And same with YouTube Player, Keynote, and things like that. I've got icon packs for that. But yeah, the point about it is you end up with something that's got a consistent look, but a consistent design style to it. So things that are overlays have got this type of sort of double layer thing to them, whereas things that are scenes, I've got this one going on here. There's lots more in the icon pack, by the way, so I've got lots of pages of icons. But if you look at this Stream Deck, for me, this is a lot more aesthetically pleasing than even this one, because this one has got some of them done, but these are just random things that I've put on just recently for other things. And I always feel like when I see my Stream Deck looking like that, it's really frustrating to my slightly detail-orientated nature, but yeah, that's where you can get those icons. And thanks for stopping by. If there are any questions, drop them into the chat. If you have any questions after the fact, you can still drop those into the Discord as well. So I'll leave a link to that in the chat as well. takeonetech.io/family. That is where you can get access to the Discord to drop any questions you've got in there. I'll give it just a moment to see if there are any other questions come through in the chat about absolutely anything. It's 6 a.m. here in I was going to say sunny north of Thailand. It's not at the moment. It's still just sun's just coming up, but it's going to be another lovely day. If there are any other questions, though, drop them into the chat. If not, then what I'll say is have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. I'll leave a link to some other videos over on that side. And as you now know, this is an automatic 20-second countdown until the stream ends. So thanks for watching. See you all next time. Have a great day.